Back off, man. I'm a scientist. Hey everyone, Jeremy here with my Ghostbusters Slimer. I don't know if you can actually see, he's glowing. And so am I right now. I just got out of Ghostbusters Afterlife and had to just kind of do a quick review and just kind of a reaction. I literally just got home. Cutting to the chase, I absolutely loved Ghostbusters Afterlife. I really did. I am just glowing right now. I will, like I do normally with my reviews, I'm going to start out non-spoiler, and then I'll do spoilers here at the end, and which there are plenty. There are so many spoilers. This movie, it has such a sense of warmth and wonder, and it is a family, ish drama, like you would get from the 80s Spielberg movies, the E.T.s, the Goonies, which actually Goonies wasn't Spielberg, but where you get this childlike sense of wonder and adventure and this loving feeling of the subject matter, this just genuine love that you get when you watch a Spielberg movie, especially from the 80s like that, or a movie like the Goonies, just one of those films where they just understood kids, and they understood the love of whatever it was they were tackling, whether in the Goonies it was, an adventure story about pirates and kids going on an adventure, or with E.T., where it's this kid who finds an alien and has to keep it secret and safe. That is 100% the way this movie treats Ghostbusters. Hey, I'm an 80s kid. I am an 80s kid, so I was dying to see this movie. I'm seeing it late because of, personal reasons. My reasoning for not going to this day of aside, Ghostbusters is my favorite comedy. Ghostbusters is my absolute hands down favorite comedy. This is something I've been waiting to see, and it did not disappoint. But as an older Ghostbusters fan, as an 80s kid, I was actually genuinely worried this movie looked like it was going to be hung on the kids. Like the kids were going to be a big focal point of this movie, and I wasn't quite sure that was going to work for a Ghostbusters movie. And quite frankly, if the kids didn't work, I knew this movie wasn't really going to work. I am happy to say they did. They absolutely did, and they were used in the right amounts. But it's not just the kids that work. The adults obviously work too. Carrie Coons, I absolutely love her. She is awesome. Also, Paul Rudd. Paul Rudd is Paul Rudd. Paul Rudd is just absolutely Paul Rudd at his best. He brought humor to every single scene. He didn't, I was concerned he might have to carry the movie. He might have to carry the humor. He did not. Did he bring a lot? Oh my goodness. It's I would actually equate him to the Bill Murray level of humor that he brought, like where you knew every scene Bill Murray was going to be in. He was going to be funny in Ghostbusters. But that doesn't mean Dan Aykroyd, Harold Ramis, Ernie has none of them. Oh no, they weren't funny. And they were absolutely hysterical in the other movies. And that's kind of the way it worked here. Was I felt like Paul Rudd per capita brought the most humor, but that didn't mean the other characters didn't bring the humor too. But he also wasn't just comedy relief. He had a purpose to the film. He's quite frankly me. He is the old school Ghostbusters fan. He is the guy that knows everything that happened back in the 80s and what the Ghostbusters were. While these kids who didn't grow up in the 80s may not know who the Ghostbusters are, may not really know that type of stuff because they weren't even alive back then. Just like a lot of new viewers right now. So if that tells you anything, that is really what they go for here, is that not really a passing of the torch. It's that, oh, I am introducing you to something you missed out on that was awesome. That's what this movie really is. It's both a love letter to the Ghostbusters, the franchise, the characters, all of it. But it's also a wonderful way to reintroduce this to a generation that may not know it, that may not have lived Ghostbusters like we did. And I imagine there are a lot out there that, have seen the original movie at this point, just because it's such a landmark movie. It is one of the biggest comedies of all time, but it still is great. If they hadn't seen it, it would still work. But hopefully there are a lot of parents out there taking their kids to this and watching the originals and then taking them to see this, because it's going to work better if you have, but you don't have to have. But you will want to watch the originals after. I guarantee that. Now, that's as much as I can talk about without going into spoilers. You've got my opinion on it. I wouldn't call it some perfect, flawless movie, but I would call it like a warm hug. It really is. It is just this endearing movie that even when you're not laughing, you're smiling. But there are some really, really funny moments and some really great moments. And there is so much fan service in this movie, but it's not overused. So that said, if you like Ghostbusters at all, or you have kids maybe that haven't seen Ghostbusters, or maybe you've just always been curious about Ghostbusters, my suggestion, watch the original and then watch this. You can do it the other way around and that'll work too, but they're going to get more out of it if they watch the original first. And it'll be a great family experience, and it's definitely a great experience for Ghostbusters fans that already exist. Now, going into spoilers, leave now, 3, 2, 1. I have to talk about Egon. I absolutely have to talk about Egon and what they did with him. That brought a tear to my eye at the end. It absolutely brought a tear to my eye at the end. We lost Harold, and it's so sad. I'm getting a little choked up now. And I love the fact that they wanted to do a Ghostbusters movie and they center it on him and his family. And he was a character throughout the film. Even before the very end, which is, oh my goodness, tear. Before that wonderful ending, they had him as a character throughout the film. He was there. He was watching over them throughout the movie, and they made that extraordinarily apparent, and he was guiding them. When I say this movie is a warm hug, that is a part of it. That is absolutely a part of it. They took a tragedy, the loss of one of the originals, someone who was instrumental in crafting the original movies. The way they handled this it's brilliant, and it's loving, and it really, really hit home for me. Because when he died, it hurt. I knew his other movies, his other works. It's Harold Ramis. He was a comedy genius. This just felt so perfect a way to send off someone the actors loved, the fans loved. And you could only hope other movies could do something like this. It just felt natural and loving. Now, on that note, also, I do love that it still was tied to the original. It was still Gozer. I was afraid of that, actually. I was a little afraid that, we're just going back to the well. We got to go back to Gozer again. But because of the way they told the story, because he was standing guard. He was standing guard because he knew someone was going to try to bring Gozer back again. He knew that Ivo Shandor, which I recognized that name right off, when they said Ivo Shandor, yes, I knew who it was, but he was standing guard because he knew there were contingency plans to try again, to bring Gozer back again. He couldn't convince the guys, so he gave up everything and did it on his own. Well, why would Egon give up his family? He could have brought them there, but thing is, if he did bring them there, if he had brought them with him, they'd have been targets. He knew what he was putting himself in a dangerous situation, a hugely dangerous situation. He's trying to prevent Gozer essentially on a daily basis coming at some point from reemerging, from all the hordes of ghosts Gozer would bring with, the terror dogs Gozer would bring with. He knew all the things that would be constantly trying to claw its way out and prepare for Gozer. That meant any family he brought with them would constantly be in danger, just like he was. That's why he outfitted the place like he did. That's why he outfitted the tomb the way he did. It wasn't, even though they say in the movie it was 2021 when Gozer was supposed to return, I have this feeling, the way it was presented, that no, Gozer was coming, or not coming back necessarily until 21, but the hordes of ghosts, they were going to come before that. I think a lot of this stuff was supposed to be coming before, that it was going to pave the way. So he put himself in a position where he could constantly guard against those things, and Gozer once it returned. And I didn't even mention the originals coming back, but I unfortunately I had that spoiled. I saw on YouTube where I didn't watch the video, but they appeared on Kimmel or something, or Kimmel, or one of the late night shows. And I as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh yeah, they're definitely in the movie. There's no way around it. They're in the movie, and of course they are. And it was great. It was absolutely great. And the mid-credit scene was incredible. The hints at what we might have coming. The power grid, or not power grid, the containment chamber is empty. That's a problem. And Winston has rebought the firehouse. They've really set it up that it could come back. And Winston, being rich, it appears, could probably reinstitute the Ghostbusters, which I would love it if the kids returned. I can't believe I'm saying that, but I would love it. Bring Paul Rudd back. Bring him back as a Ghostbuster next movie. 100%. Have Phoebe be not necessarily a Ghostbuster, even though she's proven herself, but she's also little. So bring her back. Have her be like the intern, the Ghostbuster in training, bring back Finn Wolfhard. He was good in this. And by the time the next one would come out, he'd be like 18. So you could almost have him bucking to be a Ghostbuster at this point. Like, hey, I just want to be one. And they're not letting him. You could do so much with this, and also have new Ghostbusters. Have somebody there. Have Winston have hired somebody besides Paul Rudd, that can have Ray there. What's Ray doing? He's running that bookshop. Bring back in Ray. You could have the old dogs with the new kids. It could be so much fun. They've set up a lot here, and as long as they don't lose that heart, and I don't think they will, that they brought from this one, I genuinely feel like sky's the limit. They've found a magic formula here, and I hope they stick with it. So those are my final thoughts. And yeah, I've been just gushing. I've been gushing because I loved this movie. All right, what did you think? What was the biggest surprise for you in this movie? What was the thing that surprised you most? To me, it was Egon. It was 100% Egon. I did not expect him to be a character throughout. I thought they would maybe, we'd get hints that maybe he's around, but no, he was there. He was just there. And that, oh my, that was my big one. But what was yours? What were you surprised? Maybe not just Egon. Maybe there was something else that just completely surprised you. Let me know in the comments below, or whatever your thoughts might be. If you enjoyed this video, please hit like and subscribe to see more content like this, as well as share this with friends if you think they might enjoy it. All right, and before I go, as always, please take care of yourselves, and please take care of each other. Thank you for watching.